All right, everybody. I have Jason with me, Jason Palamara with me, retired detective at NYPD, correct?
That's
Welcome,
right.
sir.
Correct.
Thank
Business owner, author, keynote speaker. Am I leaving anything out? I don't want to leave anything out. You got so much going on. You got so much going on. Podcast guests,
Love
several, and I love them. But I really appreciate you being here and talking with us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Right.
I appreciate it.
We're out here in the Village Studios in LA. A little nook hidden away. You didn't even know it was a studio.
No, I would have drove right past it.
Yeah. Just another shout out for Jeff and Tina. They're supporters. They're very gracious, and I really appreciate them. But Jason, what we do with everybody, just kind of, could you give us where you grew up, how you grew up, what kind of led you into law enforcement?
Thanks. Grew up Long Island, New York. Born and raised.
Strong Island.
There
you go.
No, I don't say that. I started out in Regal Park, Queens.
Okay.
As a young child. Parents moved us out to Long Island. We settled in Hicksville. I went to the military down in Norfolk, Virginia.
Oh, nice.
Following the military, came back home, lived in Hicksville for a little while, and then my wife and I settled in Farmingdale. Levittown.
You met your wife while you were in the military?
We met on the USS Theodore Roosevelt. Yes.
She was also in the military?
Yes, she was.
I love that he was living in New York in a town called Hicksville.
Yes.
And Farmville.
Yes.
Actually, it was Levittown. I mixed up. You know, when you get to a certain age, you start to, your memories.
It all starts mushing. Perfect. So you get out of your military career, you go back to New York.
Yeah.
And then what made you want to go do that? Especially NYPD, right? It's
Yeah. Did you have your parents in law enforcement or anybody? Do you have siblings just to get an understanding?
Yeah. So I followed in my father's footsteps with the military.
Got it.
He's an Army veteran, and there was nobody in my family that was in law enforcement.
Oh, wow.
So I was the only one until my son just recently joined the Army and now is a military police officer. So he checked both boxes.
Awesome.
He's one of them, one up me. So
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
And he's already cracking jokes. You know, you got to get a heavy year in before
You're not ready, son.
Oh, no, you're still wet behind the ears. But no, nobody was in law enforcement. I was the first one. So I kind of, makes me feel good to know that now my son, followed my footsteps.
Yeah.
That's all.
So what branch of the military again?
I was in the Navy.
Okay.
And Veronica was in the Navy as well.
How long were you in the Navy?
3 years. Now stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, and on the Roosevelt. I did one deployment, and yeah.
Was your goal to only do the 3 years and then you wanted to shift to something else? Or was it you decided once you were there was a shift and you wanted to get into law enforcement?
Yeah. So I when I joined, I didn't have, my memory serves me right, I didn't have an idea on whether I'm going to, stay or make it a career or not. And somewhere along the line, I actually came back to New York. I remember my parents drove me into the city. I took the police exam.
Oh.
They put me on military deferment. So I had my list number, and I had to defer the class because I was still, an active service member. And then I started to really want that. So that kind of just made me feel like, all right, I'm going to do my time. I'm going to do my 3 years. Once I'm out, I'm going to go ahead and join. Towards the end of my Navy career, I actually took the Virginia Beach police exam, passed, did the physical. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stay in Virginia and I'm going to do that. And I decided, you know what? I want the NYPD. So I came back home. And
what was the deciding factor between Virginia Beach and New York? Because for me, it would have been the snow. I'd have been like, nope, I'm going to Virginia.
That's how I feel now. No, that's how I feel now with the cold weather. But it's just it was the decision I made. I wanted that more. Yeah.
Was it because it was home?
That's probably a big contributing factor, that it was back home, and it was just the prestige. I was young, and it was still today. You look at the NYPD anywhere you go, anywhere we went. You say that it holds a little bit of a different,
absolutely,
a little bit of a different weight.
It's a massive monster agency. I think it's so different than really any other agency in the U.S. Just the way it's structured, which I do have questions about. But it definitely,
huge.
And the specialties and the divisions and the teams and the task force. I mean, the stuff that they're doing. I mean, they have NYPD guys in Interpol and
all over the world.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's usually on like a federal agency. Does that.
They are basically that, though. I had a friend of mine who worked for NYPD, and she was in their training division. At the time, I was also in the training division, and the parallels were not there. The way they ran it, because they have so many officers, was just mind-boggling.
Can we talk about what was that? What was the early, training? What did that look like for you that you can recall? Well, yeah. Well, my training started with September 11th. So
I did not realize that. Okay.
Yeah. So July 1st, 2001 was my first day.
Oh.
And September 11th was what was that? 2 months later.
Yeah.
They pulled us out. And that was essentially my first assigned job.
So they pulled you guys out of your academy?
They pulled us out of the academy as gray shirts. And we were out for a while doing everything from directing traffic down at on the West Side Highway to, some guys got the morgue. I did not have the morgue, thankfully.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Escorting residents back to their apartments off the West Side Highway. And you'd go into the apartments, and if they had left their windows open, it was completely, white with soot. And then they pulled us back into the academy as if nothing happened and just on with the rest of the curriculum. So it was 9 months long.
Wow. So you're brand new.
Brand new.
You're in training. You get pulled out for a worldwide horrific event.
Yeah.
Does that make you rethink? What's your mindset in that point?
Back then?
Yeah.
Back then, in that
young moment,
that young Jason that is wide-eyed and doing this job.
Yeah. So I just speak for myself. Was looking back. So I have a different perspective now. I'm looking back through that lens. And I think I was excited.
Yeah.
Because, oh man, I get to be real
cop already.
Yeah.
Right.
Granted, we had no guns, no handcuffs, no batons. We had
oh my God.
We clearly looked like we did not belong out there, which is why they sent us out with instructors. But I think I was excited. Like I could be a real cop. And I was out on the street within 2 months. But at the same time, it was, I started my career during that time, and everybody loved us.
Yeah.
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 Everybody loved us. Even the ones that maybe didn't, they all loved us.
Yeah.
And then I retired September 2020 with
very different
experience.
Wow. What a interesting way to see how the microcosm of how law enforcement kind of the pendulum swings.
Yeah. Just in one career. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's incredible.
So, because you eventually worked up to homicide detective, which, again, is people don't understand. In some agencies that could take, you may never get in even if you really wanted. It could take 20 years, whatever it is. But what did the progression of your career look like at NYPD?
Yeah. So I started out at the 84th precinct as a patrol cop.
Okay. Now, were you actually patrolling in a car? Because I know some of those guys stand in front of a building that has 30,000 people, and that's
patrol. Yeah. So that's a foot post. And we all had plenty of foot posts, but I was lucky enough to get grabbed by my friend Kevin. He said, "Listen, I need a patrol partner."
Yeah.
Okay, I get on the car. So because of him, I was able to get Steady Sector Charlie with him.
Nice.
And I was out on patrol pretty quick. Downtown Brooklyn.
Okay.
Downtown Brooklyn, right off Tillery Street, right off the exit of the BQE, Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, all the courts. And I did a year on patrol. And then I had the opportunity to go to the conditions unit. At the time, I don't know what it looks like today, but the conditions unit was all quality of life offenses. We were plain clothes, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
When you say quality of life, what do you enforcing?
People drinking in public, using a bathroom, things like that. Violations, misdemeanors, and then I had the opportunity to go to that unit. And listen, I drove an unmarked car. I was in jeans and boots. Good tactical.
Yeah, of course.
Gear.
Yeah.
Well, you can't run after anyone because you're wearing boots, but you need to look good. You gotta look good. Nobody could tell who you were. We all had blue jeans, Timbs, a jersey of some sort, and a ball cap, and we were completely inconspicuous.
Nobody knew.
Undercover.
Nobody knew.
The most undercover. I love it. We actually had a sergeant at Hillsborough that wore cowboy boots.
Yes, he did.
And I remember watching him. He did these super high kicks whenever he was kicking, but his foot would just slide.
But you look good.
He absolutely did.
Was the idea behind being in plain clothes so that you could walk up and actually be able to observe the crimes, or were you undercover and kind of infiltrating that way?
I mean, so we weren't quote unquote undercover. It was just basically an element of surprise. From there, I went into the crime team. So that was all felonies, right?
It's interesting how they break
it down.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you commingled, but I did crime. I was there. I was in crime for 6 months. I was in conditions about two plus years, crime for about 6 months. And then I was lucky enough to get pulled up to the 84th Precinct Detective Squad with 4.5 years on.
That's very quick. I don't think people understand how quick that is.
That's incredible.
Yeah. That's very quick.
That says a lot about what you were doing, the job quality that you were putting out.
Yeah, either that or they were short.
Hey, listen.
Could have been that.
Fair enough. We'll just say it was the...
Let's go with the first one.
We'll go with job quality.
Yeah, and I spent, from, what was that, 3, I think? No. See what happens when you
That's okay. That's all right.
I spent about 10 years in the squad, and I went from, I was on the grand larceny team. I did financial crimes, which I really enjoyed, really boring, but I loved it.
I'm in the same boat, yeah.
Everybody who does financial crimes always says that.
You know, it's until I got to homicides, and I know we'll go over that, but I love just not having any idea who you are.
Yep.
And then you spend months doing it. You get to the end and the complainant's like, nah, I got my money back. I'm good. I don't want to.
Yep. That does happen on occasion. So when I was a deputy and trooper, the idea of doing a financial crime, I was like, absolutely not, under no circumstances. Burglaries, robberies, like people crimes is what and then I got onto the Fed side where that's pretty much Secret Service.
You joined Secret Service. And that's
all you do. But I liked it because for me, it was like a puzzle, to your point. And then, but to your point, once I figured out who the bad guy was, I was like, I'm done. I just want to move on. But there's all this process with all that. Anyway. Yeah. No, fair point.
The chase.
Yeah, it's the chase. So, I had my 10 years there, and then I had the incredible opportunity to get over to cold case. And I remember a buddy of mine.
You started off with cold cases?
So I went from spending 10 years in the E4 squad over to cold case, and that's where I finished out my career. I did less.
Wow.
I was 5 years in cold case.
So all of your time in homicide was spent with cold cases?
All of my time in homicide was spent investigating the unsolved, all the unsolved cases.
Very cool. Was that a request that you made, or was this that everybody who comes in goes to the cold case squad?
No. So I was lucky enough to have a friend who was went to college with the CO of the cold case unit, and he's like, listen, he said you can come in for an interview. Because he had told him about me, whatever. And I'm like, get out of here, man. I don't have enough time on the job. Everyone there is like 100.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. That's usually like a way senior. You're on your kind of way out.
There was no way I belonged there. So I remember I was at home, and I was at home in Massapequa, and I got a call, or I forgot what it was. It was a text message or whatever. Can I come in? And I was like, yeah, I'm in Brooklyn. I'll be right there. And I wasn't passing that opportunity up. So I went home. I'm like, I'm putting a suit on. I'm going in for an interview. Hopped on the LIRR and walked up the block to Gold Street, which was right across from the 8-4. Did the interview, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I'm getting this unit. And at that time, after the interview, they did administration change for those restructuring, and I kept, my buddy kept telling me, no, just wait. I'm like, no, this is never gonna happen. And it was on my birthday, I got a phone call. You're going. Actually, the PAA that was that worked in our squad said, did you know you were going to cold case? I said, yeah. I didn't tell anybody except the one buddy I worked with who wanted my desk. So we were secretly cleaning out my desk. He's like, I'm getting your desk.
You had the good desk.
Yeah. So that's how cold case came about. And I'll tell you, it was.
And how long did you have on at this point when you went to cold case?
So I went to cold case, I think it was 2005. And then I retired in September 2020. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just because I'm interested, I've never worked a cold case. But they're fascinating.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to bore you because you did it for a long time, but like, what was your process? And then do you have any like standout ones that were like that kind of like success? I figured it out.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to work on some amazing cases, and I loved a lot of what I did on my time on the job, but cold case by far is far above anything I ever did. For many reasons. My process was, we were lucky enough to have the pick of the litter, whatever we wanted, right? So we would go through the old cases. I would look for close contact, right? So strangulation, things where you have a close contact, you increase the chances of a DNA potential. And I personally looked for elderly victims or younger victims. And when I first got on the job, I was like, I want to go to special victims. And then, my kids were young, and I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to end up on the other side of the bars if I go.
Right.
Yeah, that's a hard thing.
But I wound up in most of my homicides were kids. I'd say, kids, I say, 16, teenagers.
Those are kids.
Yeah. And
they're older than that, so they're still kids.
As you get older, everybody's
a kid then.
Everybody becomes a child.
Yeah.
So I would, so we can review the old cases. Sometimes we would get called by a family member. Can you look into my, cousin, brother, mother's, homicide? Or brass would get a phone call, or something would end up on the news, and you were voluntold.
Yeah.
This was a case you would look into, but we really were given a lot of rope to investigate what we wanted. I printed out, I still have it. I printed out I think it was a New York Post article. I think it was something like the 5 or 10 notorious unsolved homicides for the city of New York. And I pinned it up on my cubicle wall. And I think I had like 3 or 4. I wound up having 3 or 4 of them. One was a 2nd Avenue deli case, the murder of Abe Lebelhall. One was the murder of Rashawn Brazell. One was the murder of Chanel Petro Nixon. and they were all on that article.
Yeah.
We solved Chanel's case is solved. And we can get into whatever case you want. Rashawn's case is solved. And not because it was all me. It was because of everything that had been done before me. And the benefit of cold case is you have all these detectives putting in all these years of work.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I can sit back and look at it all.
Yeah.
Without being bothered, without getting up, we just got a homicide. So now you put that case down, you don't touch it for months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Yeah. That's why it's nice having an agency where you can separate those things for sure.
Yeah. And I was able to piggyback on some great work. And it was amazing.
So that just for perspective, we talked about how big NYPD is. On average per year, when you were there, what was the homicide rate how many were occurring over the years?
I know it's a rough number.
Just rough numbers. And then therefore, how many were then coming over to the cold case unit for you guys to, go through and work?
Yeah. So I don't know the homicide numbers, to be honest, but any cold case, any homicide can get pulled into cold case, right?
Okay. There's not a time frame for it to have sit dormant?
There was something written up or it was like 6 months or something.
Okay.
But a lot of the cases we grabbed, so it was called the ECMS system. It was electronic reporting system.
Right.
And I think that came about somewhere around 04, 5, 6, the rollout was. So when we found the case that we wanted to investigate and it was in ECMS, we were able to see where it's assigned, who it's assigned to, and we were able to see, is it being worked on, right?
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. Detectives would grab a case, they would have it, and it would just sit, on their case. So, you'd call, hey, you're working on it or whatever. No, go right ahead. Some were more than happy, get this off my case.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Others were, knowing how notable the case was, wanted to just hold it.
Just possessive of it?
Right. Honestly, I never had a situation where, a detective was like, no, I'm going to keep it. And it was great to work with I was in Brooklyn North, basically. So with the Brooklyn North Homicide Squad, we had to pick about the city. So at the time, the cold case office was on Gold Street, right across the street from the 8-4. Now that Brooklyn office is in Manhattan at in the basement of the old Academy on 20th between 2nd and 3rd. There's one in the 50. And there's one in the 105. That's a Queens office, but we could take a case in any borough.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the prosecution looking like for a cold case? Like especially something that's, well, maybe not 6 months, but like one that's set for years. Or is there one you cleared that was the oldest one and was it prosecuted or?
So the question of was it prosecuted is a loaded question depending on what DA's office you're talking about.
Okay. That's fair. I guess what I'm trying to get to is like a case sat for, I don't know, 5-10 years. Yeah. And then you looked at it, we found the guy, and all right, now we're going to, I could just see a lot of room for defense and all that stuff, like to pick that apart. But
yeah, I'll give you an example. I have a case from 1996. It was a stabbing. It was the murder of a detective that I worked with's cousin, excuse me, back in 96. And he said, when you go over the cold case, if you ever get over the cold case. He's the one that took my desk, by the way. He's like, can you investigate my cousin's case? So that was the first case I grabbed when I went there. To be able to work on another MOS's family member's case was
that's big
special. Long story short, I'm retired, 5 years now? 5 years now. I've been back for hearings 4 times. And just last week, they called me because they're going to start trial.
Wow. So it is going to trial.
That one's going to trial.
Yeah.
But it's taken that long.
So just to give you an idea.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So I have a question in regards to when you were talking about taking on a case of someone who is a friend of yours, essentially, the emotions that are tied to that. With working with cold cases, was it a little less emotionally taxing if there's a way to be less emotionally taxing because there was that distance in time? Essentially, with when the case occurred and you not going out and being hands-on and kind of retrospectively looking at things?
Great question. And I'll tell you, I'm just going to answer it just from my perspective. And I'm sure it's different. As much as I tried to have that distance emotionally, it didn't happen. I got so involved with the victims' families. I still speak to Chanel's mom today. I still speak to Rashawn's mom, Desire, today. Become part of their family. And especially after you are fortunate enough to give them a positive conclusion. Yeah. They can never bring their family member back, their son, their daughter, but it's a bond. So as much as I tried, it wasn't possible.
I asked because my husband, he actually was the supervisor over the homicide unit.
Oh,
and it was emotionally taxing for him even though he wasn't involved with the cases. But I thought, when you're in it, it's happening right now in real time. Is it any easier when yours aren't in real time? But I guess to be good at the job, you have to be emotional.
So in real, it is for me, it was I guess a happy balance. I wrote about it. I didn't always handle the investigations well personally. And we can get into that, but there's an element of that those cases needed. I think I would love to handle them differently today, but I know that my full attention was on that case. Yeah. And it was not funny, but we had a press conference for the Chanel case. I'll never forget, my partner Evelyn and I, we went to in Brooklyn. There was a press conference. We were announcing the indictment of the kid, the guy who killed her. Mm-hmm. And we went back to the command. And I remember driving home that day and feeling that, like, what's next? Like, because you just come crashing down off that roller coaster, hypervigilance roller coaster, and you're like, all right, what's next? Like, what are we going to do next? Yeah. That was really hard. So I think, creeping into the mental health space, it was a defense mechanism, I suppose, to maintain that level of intensity, because the opposite of that was unknown and a little scary. So it was like, just keep going. And there's only one thing that happens when you do that: you crash.
The mental health piece of detectives in general that work into those either violent crimes, juvenile crimes, homicide, things like that. It is incredible that they do exactly what you said. We just got to keep going, keep pushing, moving to the next case, because that's how they sustain. And then there is the crash when they retire. And it can be very difficult if it's not prepared for or expected. Like I said, my husband was over the homicide unit, and I remember his son was small, and he went out on a case that involved a kid, not a baby, but still a kid. And he came home, and I could see in his face, he was just drained. And it wasn't till probably about 2 weeks after that, he's like, I gotta find someplace else to go to finish my career.
Yeah, I can't do the same.
What strength on his part to, one, have that perspective, recognize that he needed that self-awareness, and then actually follow through with that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He finished out in crime prevention, so he got to go to golf tournaments and all kinds of stuff like that to finish.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So it's just incredible to hear you kind of touch on that mental health piece that I think a lot of times isn't talked about either.
No, it's not.
So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Well, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least have one story. The Chanel one seems to stand out. Do you want to just kind of walk through that? Not necessarily details, but just kind of how that came to be.
Yeah. Chanel's hasn't come to trial, so I'll be a little limited. Rashawn's did.
We'll do Rashawn. We'll talk about Rashawn.
Yeah, I will be cautious in that there's always room for, but I will preface with that.
We can speak of that.
I'm not on the job anymore. So, I'm a little bit more free to speak on how ridiculous the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office handled Rashawn's case.
Yeah, fair.
So Rashawn Brazel, 19-year-old young man that was murdered by this individual, and it was a gruesome homicide. Many of your listeners can just Google the name. I won't get into the details, but I picked up that case because the original case detective, Richie Amato, and I were friends, and I was looking into that case independently. And as things happened, Richie was getting ready to retire. I had spoken to him about it. He said, yeah, I'd love for you to take over this case. Richie was in Brooklyn North Homicide. He said, I'd like for you to take over this case, but you got to meet Mom first. I said, well, yeah, of course. I said, naturally, I would want to meet the family. So you don't understand. She's got to say yes. She's got to approve you.
Interesting.
Okay. Right. And I'll never forget, it was, I think it was a weekend morning in downtown Brooklyn in the 8-4. There was a diner on the corner in Dumbo. And Richie and I met Miss Brazel, Desire, and man, I was intimidated. I'm on a job interview.
Wow.
I'm respecting this move though. But as a parent, I'm like, I'm respecting this.
And it was a pivotal. It was a great start because it set the stage. And I never forget. She told me, "Listen, if I find anything out in the news before you tell me, we're gonna have a problem."
This ties in communication.
Very well.
And Desire is family to me today. So I started working on that case. I worked on most of my cases with my partner, Evelyn Gutierrez, and I'm investigating Rashawn's case. She's investigating a case of Sharabia Thomas, a teenage girl that was murdered. The years I'm forgetting, but they happened within very close proximity. And was it Bed-Stuy? Yeah, Bed-Stuy, I think. And so I'm doing mine. She's doing hers. We're helping each other out with them. And I'll never forget, I was doing a workup on the guy that killed Sharabia, we had DNA match, and it was basically building the case, right? So just helping her build a case. And he was in jail in another state, and I was doing a workup on him, and I saw that he was living, when I say across the street, like directly where that TV is, directly across the street from Rashawn. I said, wait a minute. You can't tell me this guy killed this girl, dumped her body, and then a year later, it was a year before, I forgot what came first, the kid across the street gets murdered almost in the same fashion and almost disposed of in the same way.
Yeah.
And he's not somebody I need to look at.
Just going to say.
It was one of those moments where I was like, Evelyn, look at this. Look at the distance. He's right across.
Yeah.
Long story short, he did both.
Wow.
Right.
Damn.
So working those cases simultaneously with Evelyn, it was one of those, it was the high of the roller coaster for a while. We traveled, I mean, internationally, domestically. We were all over the place. It got to the point where my wife Veronica was like, all right, just bring me back something. We were going to Caribbean islands. I'm like, I'm going to this Caribbean island. She's like, just bring me something back.
I'll take a rum cake.
Yeah. Her and Evelyn were tight. And so I would bring her home something for every place I went to. But it was, those are great cases. So in Rashawn's case, he was convicted on Sharabia's, and he was not brought to trial for Rashawn's. And I can opine on the multitude of reasons why those decisions were made, but I'll just leave it with he should have been.
So the DA, because it was two cases, decided to only charge in one?
Well, one was already done. Sharabia's was done.
And they said that was good enough?
And we were still in the process of Rashawn's. And I don't know whether it was a situation where, you know what, if we open this can on the second, is it going to do something to the first? Or a lot of miscommunication. You talked about communication. A lot of miscommunication with the family. Yeah. Mom did get closure in that she knew who did it.
Right.
And she knew who he was. They lived across the street.
Yeah. Especially in New York. They all know.
Yeah. And Brooklyn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's not getting out. So there's some solace there. And you know what, there's something you lost a family member and you'll never get them back. But through the whole process, you gained more family, right? So going back to your original question, it's very hard. It was very hard for me to separate my emotions from those cases. Hence why I still speak to them today.
To piggyback on that too, when you say you put all this, literally your blood, sweat, tears into these cases, and then the district attorneys, and we understand, I'll preface it by saying we understand that they have a different role. Mm-hmm. They have a different set of things that they're trying to accomplish. But the letdown of, hey, good job, we're not prosecuting though, that's got to be emotionally taxing as well. And it doesn't just happen in one case. People don't, that's the part I think of policing and law enforcement that people don't realize that is there, where you have this officer who really is invested, and then this happens.
Well, what happens is everything kind of starts in a whole new direction. Once it gets to the court side of things, you think that, okay, we've completed, and you've just begun.
Yeah, exactly.
You've just begun. And you mentioned something that kind of, made me think of something. You said blood, sweat, and tears. It wasn't just my blood, sweat, and tears. It's my entire family's blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
Which I want to touch on. Yeah.
That's a big piece, again, that is not often talked about. Yeah. I'll keep saying it. My wife was just as much a first responder as I was. Yeah.
Especially with homicide.
Sure. And
I can say that as being married to someone in homicide. When we had our son, he was about 4 or 5 weeks old, and he left on a case, and I didn't see him for, I think it was 5 days straight. It was a lot. It absolutely is the families as well. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I want to close out the communicate, because we did a 2-part interview with Lisa Plum, who you can see that on the show, but she both her parents were pedophiles, and so she had many interactions with law enforcement, and some of her lit downs were these detectives that would come in. They were super heavily invested, wanted to see the case through, and made her feel like, okay, I can rely on this individual. And to your point, it's interesting to hear another
side of it,
but the mother of the victim, right, was like, please let me know before I see it on the news. Just like communicate with me. Just let me know what's going on. That was her big request. And unfortunately, she was let down several times. And then one, kind of a coup de grace one, was an investigator who was like, I'm gonna let you know as soon as the indictment, I'm going to call you. Never called. She tried to reach out to him. He goes, don't ever call this number again. Like, just dropped it. I mean, just wild. And I was like, that really, I know investigators who don't do that. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's sad to hear that, but it sounds like
it's wonderful.
It sounds like you
the
understand. Yeah. That's what I like to hear. So to your point, and kind of ties into the next phase, but We've had several officers, detectives, supervisors that have openly admitted the job was my family first, always, and their family was second until they get out or they retire, and then they realize that was a mistake. Was that ever the case for you? Like, did you go?
Yeah. So I probably would say the job wasn't my family. The work was. I love the people I work with. Evelyn is family still today. I still talk to a lot of the people I worked with, but I just really enjoyed the work.
Yeah.
We can go down. I mean, this is going a bunch of different directions, but you get hungry for that advancement. You get hungry for that promotion. You get hungry for that. Well, everybody else is doing 60, 70 hours. Well, I need to be doing 60, 70 hours because then I'm not doing what they're doing. I want to transfer. I want to solve this case. We can go on and on that you start to get involved in a way that you don't realize until you're just so far in.
Yeah.
And then you don't even realize it when you're so far in, right? And then it's too late, right? And you're not in a good place. So I was very much invested in the job, and I've said this before. Even when I was home, I wasn't present.
Yeah, your mind's on other things.
Veronica tells a story when we went apple picking once that we would go out east to Eastern Long Island and go apple picking with the kids or pumpkin picking, whatever. We would apple picking this time, and she said that I was standing in between two of the rows of apple orchards, and she's like, "You were just staring into nowhere."
Yeah.
And I don't remember that. I don't remember. She said, "You were just staring into nowhere, and I was calling your name." So how often did that happen? It was just like, I'm home, but my brain and everything is just in the cases or at work or where else. It wasn't with my kids. So.
Yeah, that's something I'm happy to realize it now, but my kids are almost grown. And I got into this world of law enforcement because I was in banking before that. And then I got into this world of law enforcement. And
Smooth transition.
Very smooth, right into financial crimes. But I fell in love with it, and it became like a driving force for me because there was so much to learn. I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the people I was working with, and my kids at a very early age, they recall this now, but they're like, you would get so excited when you were putting on the uniform, you were, going out to do it. And I dove into it. And to your point, I was like, I'm doing this. Like I justified that passion desire because I'm like, I'm doing this to support them, and I'm going to give them a good life, a better life. I got to be good at my job, that whole thing.
You say that?
Absolutely. And then I progressed to, I was a trooper, and then I become a Fed, and I'm like, I'm progressing. And the whole time I'm progressing, I'm doing all these things. And in the meantime, I'm missing birthdays, I'm missing holidays, I'm missing recitals, I'm missing all these things. I will say this, my kids were both in music, which was amazing, but you get one shot because they usually will do whatever it is for a year, and they have one recital. And if you're not there, it's a wrap.
And that's the one they remember.
Of course it is. Whereas if they play games, you're like, I caught 2 of the 17, but it's something you don't realize till afterward. And you're like, damn, was it worth it?
Yeah.
At the time it felt like it was, but you missed so much.
I think what you said, we're doing it to support our family. We're doing it for.
Oh yeah.
I think it gets to the point, at least it did for me. Of course, that's what I said.
Oh yeah.
Right. Because that's a noble thing to say.
Absolutely it is.
But no one's going to challenge that.
I'm working for the community. I'm arresting bad guys.
But that's not always the case. It's a cover. It's a good thing to say to make you feel like what you're doing is what you should be doing when you maybe shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. And especially when you start early in your career, you're doing as much overtime. So even
got to show
to
up.
your point, even when you're home, you're not home. You're either sleeping or you're doing whatever it is you're doing, or you're getting ready to go to your I thought you had today off. Yeah, but I got this assignment popped up. I can make whatever money. Just built.
When your wife has to help the children be a certain way when you're home.
Yes, you're touching on it.
You maybe should change what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's a point that you don't hear vocalized very often in general, but especially in the law enforcement world.
Hey, daddy's home. You gotta,
Because not only are you talking about you're not there, but even when you're there, the hypervigilance, it's all the other mental health components, the stress of, with a case like with homicide, am I going to figure this out? I do have the pressure of this mom who has now accepted me to be the detective for her son who was killed. Like the gravity of all that weighing on you creates a space where you're not fun to be around.
A lot of the mental health struggles that first responders deal with, we're talking about cops right now, that we deal with as detectives manifest themselves in not so nice things, right? I was angry all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I thrived in the argument, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'll battle with you. I tell you, Veronica says, I'm not somebody you're interviewing, right?
Not a criminal.
I knew I was right in the beginning of the argument, but you just made me feel like I'm not, like at the end of it. But yeah, it's because I'm good at my job.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But it was so toxic.
Yeah.
Or when you start using your training, kinesics and all that stuff, you're like, I know you're fucking lying, whatever. It's like, I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a criminal. Stop talking. I'm not trying to fight with you right now. I'm just trying to have a conversation. Yeah.
But it's a lens that I wasn't seeing like I am now. And I am a firm believer. You can have bad situations. What are you going to do with them? And I think that everything that I had been through in my career, how I handled it, good, bad, gave me the opportunity, if I chose to take it, to show my son now how to not be certain things and how to be certain things, right? Make his own way, but he could either learn the bad things or learn good through the bad things that I did. That was up to me.
Yeah.
So I look back and I'm very, very grateful for everything, good, bad. I don't want to repeat some of it, but I'm very, very grateful for it.
So we're down this path of talking about the mental health piece. What was the change? Did you change while still at the job, or was it retirement and then having to recognize now I got to find the next phase of my life?
So the short answer is I hope I'm never done changing.
That's good.
On the job is your answer. So I got to the point where I was just, a lot of people say, how you doing?
Yeah.
What are you going to say? You can say, I'm good.
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm
good, right? Instead of, how's your heart today? When you ask that, it kind of just makes somebody pause, right? My heart was not good. I was not happy. I was waking up. I was having nightmares. I was just a whole plethora of things. And I was overindulging with alcohol. I mean, I know that's very unique, right? In our culture.
Yeah, nobody does that.
Nobody does that. I'm probably the only one. And I got to the point where I've talked about this before, and it's so vivid. My wife and I had argued so many times prior to this day, but this particular incident stood out to me, and it was I'm a man of faith, and I think it was God telling me, listen to me, you're not looking in the right direction, and I can't force you to look in the direction you need to be looking, but I'm gonna push you around a little bit. I'm gonna nudge you. And I remember she told me she was done, and that was not an unfamiliar statement, but this time it sliced right through me.
Felt different.
And I felt different. Yeah. And I said to myself, I need to do something. What I'm doing and how I'm doing it is taking me away from who I'm doing it for.
Yeah. Yes. That's very good, man.
And so what did I do? I did everything I could do. I started listening to podcasts. I started reading books. You've heard that you are the culmination of the 4 or 5 closest people you spend the time with. Well, maybe I wasn't spending the time with the right people or quality time with the people that I was spending my hours with. So I just slowly started to, other people have gone through similar type things. Let me listen to them. What did they go through? Well, they found themselves on the other side. So how did they get there? Now, this is coming towards the end of my career. The NYPD's peer support program had just started. I was a peer cohort.
What year was that, roughly?
So I retired in 2020. So it was before COVID. So it was, what was that?
2019,
2020. Yeah, that flowed in there.
So I was in the 4th class. I became a peer support counselor with the NYPD.
Wow.
At that same time, now COVID happens, right? I become a crisis intervention counselor with the crisis center in Long Island, which I still volunteer. I'm not answering the lines anymore.
Right.
But I help train new 988 suicide prevention hotline operators in military and first responder cultural competency. Yeah. So really the whole goal is when they answer the phone, I want them to feel comfortable if they get a veteran or first responder on the phone, that they know that they don't have to be a veteran or first responder. The biggest thing that I tell them is that we're all humans. Connect with them on a human level and you're going to do great. So I became a crisis counselor, peer support member, and that kind of really just started to push me, or I was getting pulled into...
Yeah, depending on where you're at.
He said, let me show you where I want to take you.
Right? But you need to do it.
Yeah. You have to do it because he's not going to make you.
No, it's a cool free will.
Yes, it is.
And you can either choose it or not. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
No.
And I've learned that the not easy is really where the good stuff happens.
Yeah. Well, let's tie into that because I want to, this is kind of where you're at now today, not to speak for you, but Living Blue Apparel, Living Blue, the book, kind of what was your progression for that?
Yeah. So one of the things that I was doing was, like I said, reading other people's stories and not just cops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I was reading everybody and I became a bookworm. I said, if that has helped me, why can't that help? Why can't my story or what I went through help somebody else?
Yeah.
Right. So I was writing And I read a book called But I Didn't Say Goodbye by Barbara Rubel. And I was touched by it. Barbara's parents were both NYPD cops. Her mom was like an original female officer. Their shield still said policewoman on it.
Oh, that's okay. And I knew we should ask Meg that. Oh,
Yeah.
We had to know what she was, came in, got into law enforcement in like the 80s. So,
Yeah. Well, this was before then.
Yeah. They
They
saw
still
like
wore
the pencil skirts. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Policewoman.
yeah. And her
That's
dad was a
amazing.
sergeant. He died by suicide.
Wow.
And she wrote that book. I read it. It really, I was moved by it. And I'll never forget, I was at the dining room table with Veronica, and I'm like, I want to reach out to Barbara. Do you think she'd be interested in maybe doing something together? She said, like any good decision, really, Veronica's behind it. So I said,
there you go.
She said, just call her. What's the worst that she can say? She could say no.
Yeah.
So I messaged her on LinkedIn.
It takes so much balls, man. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I messaged her on LinkedIn, and I'm like, all right. Well, she responded right away. She's like, look, let's talk.
That's amazing.
And what that was the beginning of a great friendship. And we actually wrote Living Blue. I mean, she was not in New York, so we were just going back and forth. I'd send her, she'd send me, and we'd volley back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
Living Blue is the name comes from Veronica. She picked it.
Oh,
So she's behind it. I'm giving her all this credit because I have to travel home with her.
Fair enough.
well, you're a lucky man, sir, because I'm listening to what she dealt with, and she's still right here, happy,
Yeah.
supporting you.
Military and 20 years in the police department.
Why did she pick the title Living Blue?
Thank you for asking that.
That's a great, yeah.
Because we need to keep living.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
that's so good. I didn't think about that.
Because
Yeah.
too often, we are seeing first responders' mental health struggle get to the point where they're done with, and we have a shirt, Stay Curious shirt. They lose that curiosity.
Mm.
You know that crotchety, grunchled old law enforcement detective officer, and I know exactly what you mean by that statement.
Yeah.
They kind of give up on that. They don't care anymore. Yeah. How many times have you heard that? I don't give a shit
Ton.
about that anymore.
I don't
Yeah.
care about that anymore.
And why is that, right? And keep that, what don't I know? And when you stop asking yourself that question, the questions we ask ourselves are the most important. And when you're done being curious about how you can get from here to there, when
Yeah.
you're done being curious about what maybe happiness does look like, right? We lose so that's living is, we need to keep living, and Living Blue is you're living blue. And it's not just the officer that's living, it's the family, right? That's why
Yeah.
this book is for the family too. It's for the
Yeah.
clinician, for the people that have a passion for helping us in behavioral health. It's for the family, it's for the officers themselves. You don't have to be in uniform to take away from this book. And that's the human part of it. We're all happy, we're all sad, we're all mad, we're all frustrated. These are human emotions. And too often as cops, we forget that we're human beings first.
Yeah.
So when we connect on a human level, I think great things can happen. And that's what
Yes.
Barbara and I believe this book is. It's a way for people to connect, realize that we're not alone, right? You're going to go through your crap. You know what? That's the only place resilience is built.
Yeah.
No other place you're going to find yourself becoming resilient. It's through the struggle. I'm a big fan of John Maxwell. I became a John Maxwell life coach, and one of his invaluable laws of growth is the law of the rubber band. And the only value of a rubber band is when you do what? When you stretch it.
When you
Yeah.
stretch it.
You
Yeah.
can throw it at somebody if you want it, but you have to stretch it. And if we don't stretch ourselves, we stay in the same place.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when you were saying about, all the emotions that we go through as law enforcement officers. We get very comfortable with a lot of negative emotions because of the work that we do.
Mhm.
The anger is acceptable.
Self-enforcing.
It's acceptable for us to come off of a call and be very mad about what happened. It's acceptable for us to do those kind of things. It's not acceptable for us to come off a call and go, that one broke me. That one hit me here, because you're fine. This is part of the job. It's just part. And it's like living is experiencing the entire rainbow of emotions that we all have, and being able to be resilient enough to get through the sadness, the anger, and all those things, and still be able to find the happiness in there as well.
Yeah.
So
That's a great way to put it.
super interesting, because I don't know if you had an opportunity. We did a mental health mini series with our podcast, and the reasoning was because I'm part of, in Florida, we're trying to build that crisis line for first responders. And it recently, it's been about a year now that we have gotten it to where it's statewide, but it's been a work in progress to get it going, get it financially supported by the powers that be, and then get cops, first responders, firefighters to use it.
Get them to trust it.
Yes.
The biggest
That's
hurdle.
the part.
Yeah. We talked about the stigma. We talked about that a lot, but it's still alive today. But you talk about your type 4 or 5, and I've said this many, many times, and I'll continue to say it. I was very lucky in my career because I started it with who's now one of my best friends, BJ, we were in the academy together. And so I had that rock to kind of bounce off of. Mo came in a couple of years later as a veteran deputy, and just her willingness and ability to, one, mentor us, but be there. Like, we would talk about all kinds of shit. I mean, relationship stuff, cop stuff, politics and law enforcement, which is, it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And just, so I was lucky in that there's many guys that don't have that, never find it for whatever various reasons. Don't look for it.
Yeah.
Finding someone to trust with, and that you believe is not going to like try to stab you in the back so they can get promoted or whatever their reasons might be.
Right.
Is a real thing. And it's like, dude, we already do a dangerous enough job. Like, you should, I don't know, you should have that camaraderie.
Well, you touched on something. We're our own worst enemies.
Oh, yeah.
In so many, every cop out there listening to this that might have that bravado or that veneer that says, no, but I'm good. They're not. Everybody has personal issues. Everybody argues with their spouse. Everybody has problems with their children.
Yep.
If you don't, you're gonna.
Oh, yeah.
So when we start accepting one another for the flaws that we have, be more interested than interesting, be more interested in other people and how you can be of value to them instead of what can I have for myself, that goes against a big element of our culture, right?
Yeah. You got to be that stoic, we're the problem solvers. We're not the problem.
Until you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Until you're not.
Until you are the problem. Yeah, exactly.
Because if you're not humble, you'll get humbled.
Yeah. No, for sure. So Living Blue Apparel, can you talk about on that? What you're doing, where it's going?
Yeah, thanks. So Living Blue Apparel is from, the name Living Blue. The book,
yeah, absolutely. Right? So it came after the book?
Came after the book.
Okay.
And listen, how many online apparel shops are there out there? There's a lot, right?
A lot.
On the veteran military space. And I said, well, why can't we do something, right? Why can't we have a platform where we are faith-based, behavioral health-based, and we're pushing messages out in a subtle way through our designs that make a silent statement to those who are wearing it or seeing it, that I know that they get me. If it's a Stay Curious shirt and they see the suicide prevention PTSD ribbon, I know they get me.
Yeah.
Right? They see the Living Blue logo. And so we're trying to use that platform for more than just selling apparel.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's more I was tying into. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing that. And we have, from my understanding, one of the only e-commerce websites that has a resource page. So we started the resource page. So when you're buying a t-shirt, well, maybe you stumble across a resource. Maybe you write the number down. Maybe you screenshot it. Maybe you come back to it. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it's for somebody that's struggling. And it's an unsuspecting place to find a resource. And so we have that. And we also we're working with a nonprofit called Blue Cancer Connect. And my first patrol partner was diagnosed with very serious cancer, and a close family member had cancer. And we kind of just, whether you want to whether you're touched by cancer or not, cancer is going to touch, unfortunately, everybody.
I think you're probably like the fourth or fifth person on this podcast that is either personally or had somebody in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it became really something important for us. So when you go on our website, we have a cancer awareness program, and we'll donate 100% of the proceeds back to families battling a cancer diagnosis.
Wow.
Because we know how much we rely on overtime. Whether it's you're battling a cancer diagnosis and you can't work that overtime, well, guess what? You're not working too. You're not working your off-duty jobs.
Yeah.
Correct.
Or your spouse is taking care of you and they're not able to work.
Right.
Yes.
If it's as simple as us raising $100 and you guys can enjoy dinner that night, maybe you don't fight that night.
Yeah.
If it's a few $1,000s, maybe you could go on a little vacation with your kids. Whatever it might be, it's something that we want to do, again, using the platform we have to do more than just sell merch.
Yeah.
Which, and I'm thank you, because I wanted to tie into that. But if you don't mind, because we talked a little bit before, but the equine therapy is the one. Just what is that? What does that look like? And then two, your story about you were going, when you start doing keynote speaking, you're like, I'm talking to a room full of clinicians. I'm just a knuckle dragger cop from NYPD. These guys are PhDs. But first, the equine thing, and then I want to tie into that.
Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah. So equine therapy, my first keynote was at Palamara, an equine organization in Suffolk County, Long Island. They're amazing people out there. And that was, so I shouldn't have gone 20 plus years without knowing what equine therapy was.
Until you said it, I'd never heard of it. Now I know more about it than I ever would have. So yeah, no, I think, please.
And that's the point right there. Yeah. That we should all know what that is. Listen, there's different modalities that work for different people. But why not include something that is becoming proven to be so therapeutic and so beneficial to officers, first responders, veterans, humans for a multitude of reasons? So I speak at this networking weekend. And yes, I was talking to a room full of clinicians, but I associated their world, the world of horses, right? From equipment to the saddle pad, to the saddle, to the straps, to the bridle. How does that relate to you helping officers, right?
Yeah.
The fly mask, right? So I correlated their world to our world in the effort to help them, like the crisis counseling training, to help them feel more comfortable helping us. And when they do that, we're helped more. So now, man, I love this.
Yeah.
Right. And, I joke, but it's true because Veronica and I listen to country music. We have cowboy boots and cowboy hats. We're essentially cowboys. I mean, it's just by default.
By default, because you wear a cowboy hat.
And we have chickens, so we're farmers.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love what you're saying.
Anyway.
100% yes, I agree.
So I get really interested in that. And Veronica and I had an amazing opportunity to go to an EGALA training what was it, about a week ago. So EGALA is ground-based equine assisted psychotherapy. There is horse riding, therapeutic riding. That's not EGALA. EGALA is ground-based, and it's something that I think is it's amazing. So it's utilizing the horse, right? It's taking that issue that you're dealing with internally and putting it out there. And we could do like 3 podcasts worth on how a horse is so suitable for this environment, right? God put these creatures here and they're just waiting to help us. And that week that Veronica and I went to that training was absolutely transformational. So our goal is to become ESs, equine specialists. And what it is, the session is comprised of an equine specialist, a mental health professional, the client, and most importantly, the horse.
Yeah. How are the horses for this therapy? Is there training that goes in? Like what is...
Do the horses go through training?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't know.
No, the horses don't go through training.
The horses are just being who they are.
The horses are being who they are.
What I mean by training is like, you got to make sure they're not trying to nip you or, I guess maybe they still might kick you, but...
So are you asking, does the client go through training? Does the people who are the equine specialists?
Yes, sorry.
Well, absolutely. So there has to be one EGALA certified individual in the arena for that session. So whether it's a mental health professional that's EGALA certified or the ES that's EGALA certified, it is good that let's say the ES is certified, but the mental health professional is not. It's good that they go through the training anyway, because it's a very specific way, very intentional things that happen in the arena, way you speak, activities, the interaction between you and the client. It's very intentional. It's specific. Yes, there is training, and that's what we went to. We went to the and there's ongoing training. I mean, you need a lot of hours to become a fully certified equine specialist, but can't start somewhere, right?
So forgive me, I know little, like you said, about equine therapy. So to understand what you're saying, it's ground-based, so you're not riding the horse.
No.
Is it a therapy session where you are at the same time trying to manipulate the horse and get them to do something? Or is it just,
I guess, what does a session look like?
Of the question you just asked,
yeah.
Are you trying to manipulate the horse to get them to do something? Yeah. They're going to get you to do something. They're going to get you to think in a different way.
Okay.
And it might not happen in that session. It could happen when you go home and you go, my gosh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Right? Horses are prey animals.
Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Horses are prey
That's why they're
animals.
skittish sometimes.
This might sound familiar to the population we're talking about. They either trust you or they don't.
Yep.
Yes. So I guess that's more what I was alluding to, because there's a bond. Back it up. It makes sense to me when you first brought it up. There is a bond. If you've ever ridden a horse, been around horses, when they trust you and they like you and you feel that. But I will also say when they don't like you, you feel that as well.
And they feel it.
Yeah. No, 100%. So it makes sense to me what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, let's just be real simple. They're so familiar. They're so similar to us as first responders. Why wouldn't we explore utilizing them in a therapeutic environment? I mean, just for that reason alone.
Right.
I mean, they're just like us.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't verbalize it, but they show you in their reactions. And when you're around, listen, we're pretty much the same size. 100%.
Right? Yeah, we're right here.
Yeah. When we get into an arena with 1,000+ pound animal. Again, I said before, you're either humble or you get humble. Right.
For sure.
you're not telling that horse anything or having that horse do anything it does not want to do.
Yeah.
Right? That sounds like a cop.
Yeah. 100%. Facts.
And when that trust is established, amazing things happen.
Yeah.
And you don't get that horse to do anything. It gets you to do something. And the most important thing it gets you to do is think about how you look at life, how you're looking at the problem maybe you're presenting for that session.
It's funny you say that, because then I'm thinking back, the question I just posed to you is, are we manipulating the horse to do something? As cops, we are goal oriented. What are we trying to get to? What are we doing? And that was,
are we here?
That was my purpose of the question, but the response really changed my thinking in that moment.
Yeah. And that's what a horse does.
Yeah.
Its response will get you to change your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you used that exact line. A horse will get you to change your thinking. And it might not happen then. It might happen that night. It might happen a week later. You might leave that session and say, this was BS. It was a waste of my time.
That could happen.
And that happens.
Yeah.
Right?
That happens at therapy sessions.
Probably more often than not. That horse will get you to change your thinking.
Yeah. You know what's so beautiful about this too is that for years, for cops, it's always, you need to go to therapy, talk to us. But now in this arena where we've been talking to people, we're hearing so many different ways that people are trying to go about their mental health once they're at a place where they are recognizing it. We had one of our people came in and talked to us about using ETMS and now the equine therapy. So it's so nice to hear that, one, we're recognizing that these are things that we need to work on. And two, that we are thinking outside of the box of, because we'll go to therapy. We'll say, I didn't like that guy, he was crazy, and never go back again. This is giving us options.
More options. Your face is lit up and your demeanor changed when you talk about your wife.
Yeah.
When you talk about the case that you mentioned with the mother and then the equine therapy things. Yeah. I'm not saying that.
I'm glad you put it in that order.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's, yeah. Well, and I'm sorry, in your son and your children.
Okay.
But the demeanor change was shifted very much so.
Yeah.
So what is your goal, I guess, in the next couple of years? Like, what are you pushing towards? Like, what are you attempting to reach with what you're doing now?
I hope that answer changes every day. But as far as, you're talking about the equine space, I would love for Veronica and I to be at a point where we're having sessions for veterans and first responders, and that we're just watching that transformational change happen, because there's many different modalities. There's different things that work for different people, different strokes for different folks, but we love horses. Yep. We love being around them. We love what they can do for us, silly little humans. And once you see it firsthand, you can't go back.
Yeah.
There's no backsies once you experience it. And, you and I can say, I know this guy Tyler is a good dude, and it's another cop's going to go, all right, you vouch for him, he's good.
Yeah.
I could tell you all day about equine therapy. Step into an arena.
Yeah.
Be around the horse for a little bit. Go through a session. There's no turning back.
I will say I grew up very rural, so I have ridden horses. I'm at a size now where all the horses I ride are draft horses, and they're either named Big Red or Joe every time. Doesn't matter where I'm at.
Palamara has a horse. His name is Goliath.
That's probably my horse, so that's usually how it goes. I will say, so when you said equine therapy, I was like, I've never heard of it. But then after that conversation with you, I was like, that makes 100% sense to me. I don't know, and I'm not hippy dippy with the crystals and all that. I'm not trying to diminish anything, but there's a difference when that horse trusts you.
Yeah.
And I've only ever ridden them, but it does make you feel like, oh, maybe I am okay. Yeah. I don't know why.
It does.
It's like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Horses specifically,
does.
Maybe because they are so big, you're like, I need it to hurt me, but
it doesn't hurt me.
It does create that bond. My second question, and it is kind of going back a little bit, but another thing that we've started delving into, especially with first responders, is the transition out. It's like, it's been described as you're going 100 miles an hour. I mean, detective, we've had specialty, SWAT guys, bomb guys, and you're going 100 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden have your retirement party, you get your watch or your plaque or whatever your agency does. And then the next day, boop, and someone else is driving your car, your badge number, and it's like, thank you for everything you did. But now, boom, you're gone. Did that hit you at any point, or were you already kind of you had something to move?
So a little bit, right? So I was already kind of one foot in the door in the behavioral health space, and I wound up working for a behavioral health care company for a couple of years after I retired, while the book was coming about, while the apparel company was coming about. Equine therapy hadn't started as of yet. But if I had to say one point that I kind of was like, wow, that's when I was doing all the exit paperwork, and you're planning for your death. As you're retiring.
Yeah. You got to sign all that paperwork.
While I'm starting the rest of my life, I'm planning for the end of it.
Right.
At the exact same time. And I didn't know, my co-author, Barbara, she's a thanatologist, right? So
What is that? What is that?
Yeah, right. So she joked. She's like, "Yeah, I make a great conversation at a bar, right? Because death and dying, grief, bereavement, right?
Yeah.
People don't realize that the retirement process is a grieving process.
Absolutely.
Thank you for saying it that way.
It is. You transferring is a grieving process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you are changing from one thing to another that you enjoy, it affects you,
Yeah.
right? So I was leaving one world, stepping into another. You might say, what is scary about your family? Well, you know what? It's learning how to be around them in a way that I haven't been around them in over 20 years.
Yeah.
Is it going to work?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary. It's stressful. I miss the thrill of the hunt. There was nothing like hunting a human being that murdered somebody.
Yeah.
You can't give me that high anywhere. Well, maybe on a horse now.
See, we're getting in there.
Yeah, but it's a grieving process. So it was. I remember coming back from my financial advisor's office when I was, finishing everything up, and it's all right. I'm doing this, and I was on Sunrise Highway in Long Island, driving back to my house in Massapequa, and I got emotional. I'm like, I'm not signing in tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't. And it took probably a good year and a half before a holiday would come up, and I didn't have that angst like, oh, I ordered in. Wait, you dummy, you're retired.
Yeah. You can go there. You can be present there.
But it was in there.
Yeah. And the anxiety can translate. Like it's the anxiety of, I don't get this call, but now I have this other, now I have to deal with family and do all the things that I haven't been there for.
Like, what does it look like?
What does it look like now that I'm here?
So we made the decision together. I said, I spent over 20 years without her in what I was doing. So we're doing everything now. And we
haven't talked about, she does this all with you. Your wife, I'm sorry.
Yep. She was my first and foremost proofreader, editor.
How fun was that?
Listen, she tells me what to do anyway. So it really, honestly, I've gotten to the point where I couldn't send anything over without her looking at it first. I'll show her my social media posts. All right. Is this all right? And I got to the point where I'm just so used to that now. Like I have to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'll be like, I should have,
Yeah.
And so we're involved doing the book together, obviously the apparel company together. We've built that from the ground up, and now we're entering this equine world together. And I'm just excited at the opportunity to change and be a positive influence in the lives of people that are struggling. There are people that are struggling. You don't need to go through some of the things you're going through.
Yeah.
Learn from others. Let us shorten that curve.
Yes.
That learning curve for you. You're still going to have to learn on your own.
Yeah.
But maybe we shorten the time a little bit that you would need to get to that point where you're okay and your family's okay again. I couldn't have written the book without Barbara, right? She shortened that learning curve for me.
Yeah.
And I had a mentor. She's still my mentor. So why not have that in the behavioral health space? Why not have that person that says, listen, this is going to be bumpy, right? And I need it to be bumpy for you. You need it to be bumpy for you. But you don't have to go over those bumps alone.
Yeah.
Right.
Talk about a man of faith, though. That's a faith-based statement for sure.
I didn't realize I grew up Catholic. Mm-hmm. Thanks for touching on that. I grew up Catholic. I was an altar boy, right? And I had an amazing upbringing, but I didn't truly find my faith and my relationship with God until a few years ago. So we're a Christian family. We are so plugged in to everything. I truly understand today what a relationship with him means. And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have anything. He's responsible for everything that has happened in my life. And I am confident today that I had to go through the things that I went through. Otherwise, today wouldn't be today. And if that was all just so my kids don't have to repeat those steps, well, then it was worth it.
Yes.
Or if it's for somebody else reading the book or just hearing this podcast that says, you know what, maybe I need to make a shift. I don't know what the shift is.
Right.
Maybe I should explore making it. Let me call somebody. Then it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is everything today for me. And I think that's, people have their choices to choose what they want. But I think that's the biggest piece that's lacking today. And there'd be a lot less issues if people realize that.
I agree.
To your point about, learn, I've made the mistakes, you don't have to do it alone. Let me help you. That is a battle I'm still fighting with my children. I'm like, I've already done all these things that were very dumb and hard. I did everything the hardest way possible. I'm trying to help you. My son's still fighting me on that, but he likes to make all his own mistakes, but I'm hoping it works through. But to your point about faith and what you're talking about, it is amazing where I'm in that phase now where I always felt like everything was so hard. I did everything the hardest way possible. I never had that in or that buddy like, hey, help me get into this or whatever. I never had that for me. And then you shift your mindset and you just kind of go for it. Like, I'm going to reach out to this. What is Barbara again? Say the word. Thanatologist and see if she'll write a book. She's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. It's almost like when you start moving in the right direction, even though you don't know it's right, but you're moving in the right path. It's like, oh, wow, this is a lot easier than what I was doing before. Yep. Not everything has to be an uphill battle and a fight all the time.
All the time.
Worry less, pray more. When I started doing that, things started to change. Listen, that doesn't mean life still goes the way you want it.
No, yeah, for sure.
Right? Sometimes you need to get uprooted so you can realize that the journey you're on might need to change.
Yeah.
Right? And being uprooted never feels good.
For sure.
But we all need to be uprooted because sometimes we're getting too comfortable in our paths, and we need that shake.
For sure.
Mo, anything else? I want to be respectful of time.
No, this was awesome. I'm glad that you shared like all these pieces of just knowledge, and it is so good to see someone who did all these things that people go, oh, these are, like you were saying earlier, that, oh, he did such great for himself, but then recognize the downfalls, the pitfalls, the things that need to grow, that you need to grow in. So that's awesome. And like you said, being uprooted, doing the hard stuff isn't always easy, but I always say to my son and to my niece and nephew, diamonds are made when something's put under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it. So thank you.
Yeah. The other analogy I like is when you heat up metal, right? The impurities come to the top. We need to be heated up in order to get rid of that crap we're holding on to.
No, for sure.
And I'll continue to screw up.
Oh, yeah.
The only difference is I'm not doing it by myself anymore.
There you go.
That's huge. LivingBlueApparel.com. Anything else to contact you or push for you?
Yeah, I mean, for Living Blue, LivingBlueApparel.com. Sign up for our newsletter. We're constantly trying to push out other organizations that are doing great work in the behavioral health space and for veterans and first responders. You could find me there. You can find me at info@jasonpalamara.org.
Where can they buy your book?
You can buy the book on the, you could buy the book on the Living Blue Apparel website. Well, you can get access to it from the Living Blue Apparel website, from my website, Amazon.
Very
awesome.
Good.
Thank you so much. Blackout Coffee is a proud sponsor of the Street Tales Network. You get up every morning and put in the hard work. You deserve a cup of coffee that does the same. This isn't your weak mass-produced brew. This is Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee is a veteran-owned company, and they roast their beans right here in the USA. Blackout Coffee supports families, freedom, and a cup of coffee that's as strong as your values. I want to redo that one. Blackout Coffee is a proud sponsor of the Street Tales Network. You get up every morning and put in the hard work. You deserve a coffee that does the same. This isn't your weak mass-produced brew. This is Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee is a veteran-owned company, and they roast their beans right here in the USA. Blackout Coffee supports families, freedom, and a cup of coffee that's as strong as your values. Support Blackout Coffee and the Street Tales Network by making your order today. You can go to blackoutcoffee.com/Street Tales to get 20% off your first order. You can also find a link to Blackout Coffee on www.streettalesnetwork.com.